The um, the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency, is a questionable organization. It is a policing agency that is designated and is used to hunt down American citizens for exercising their Second Amendment right to own firearms. They search out to find any people they deem is acting as a gun dealer. If a citizen sells a few too many firearms to other citizens to make a few extra dollars or to make sure his friends have good guns to protect their lives with, the ATF will hunt that man down and arrest him for selling firearms without an ATF dealer's permit. And they'll destroy this man's life, and they'll come in there and they'll arrest a man for owning a machine gun or a silencer or a sawed-off shotgun. And these murderous ATF agents also unconstitutionally hunt down men who have been convicted of a felony and destroy their lives, arresting them for owning a simple firearm in their home for their self-defense and the protection of their wife and children, regardless if these guys have been stayed out of trouble for years. It doesn't matter to these filthy maggots in the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency. These evil, murderous, socialist police state organization, ATF, is also guilty of the murder of women and children at the Waco Branch Davidian. David Koresh. What happened in Waco was the ATF was going to serve a warrant on David Koresh, the preacher of a church in Texas, and he locked himself and his followers up in the church compound and would not come out. So Bill Clinton and Janet Reno ordered the murderous ATF agents to bulldoze down the walls of this building and set it on fire. And they set the place on fire intentionally. And these people couldn't get out, and they murdered over 200 women and children. Execution. The ATF done this to enforce gun laws. Laws that should not be on the books. Laws which should not be illegal. It's the rights of citizens to own machine guns under the Constitution, but yet these socialists, gun control socialists, went in there and murdered over 200 women and children to enforce a warrant on this one preacher who had a machine gun. Murdered 200 and something children and women. Another incident that the ATF is guilty of is the murder of Randy Weaver at the Ruby Ridge incident in Idaho. Randy Weaver had a sawed-off shotgun. He had a shotgun and it was sawed off a little too short, which made it a federal offense. The ATF agents sent a secret spy agent out here to Randy Weaver, who they targeted him because he was a white supremacist, by the way. They wanted to murder a white man who stood for the supremacy of white males. He lived way out in the country on a farm. And the ATF went out of their way to entrap this guy. They sent one of their wicked, evil agents out there to buy a gun off of Randy. And the gun was sawed off a little too short. That was a federal offense to sell a shotgun that was been sawed off too short. And so they put a warrant out on Randy. He wouldn't come out. So they sent their murderous agents out there to arrest him. They shot his wife in the head, his little daughter in the head, murdered his wife and his son, as they were standing on the front porch of his house. Murdered them. Then they lied. Then the ATF agents, these murderous ATF agents, lied and filed false reports against this, saying that it didn't happen, and the media never got wind of this. But Randy Weaver eventually won a millions of dollars settlement suit against these filthy maggots, these murderous swine. And I want to bring up one more thing to your attention, the public, is that there was a man named Timothy McVeigh. We all remember him getting setting that bomb off at the Murray Courthouse building in Oklahoma City. And he was standing there witnessing the murder of these 200 women and children at Waco, and he was a Marine, and he seen the evil of this evil organization, the ATF, the evil the agenda of this evil socialist gun control organization, and he went to the Islamic people and learned how to make bombs, and he blowed up a federal courthouse, killing over 140 federal employees. So, if agents of the ATF, if you're going to go out here and destroy lives, expect your own lives to be destroyed. And you realize one more thing about these evil ATF agents enforcing unconstitutional gun laws. They have destroyed tens of thousands of men who are known as convicted felons, destroying their lives, kicking their doors in, arresting them for merely owning a firearm for self-defense, driving this man's wife out onto the streets and his children homeless, and all to arrest a man who has been convicted of a felony for owning a firearm for self-defense and the defense of his protection of his wife and children. Destroying his life, he loses his home, he loses his job, all because of the agenda of the socialist police state of the ATF. And by the way, federal prosecutors under the USCA Title 18, Chapter 44, under federal law, they have no legal right to send the ATF out to arrest a man who's been convicted of a felony if he's merely owning a firearm for his own self-defense and the protection of his wife and children. You see, it's not against the federal law for that to happen. A man, even a felon, has the right to protect his own life and own firearms for that purpose. And yet the federal prosecutors have destroyed thousands of lives using this code, sending their murderous ATF agents out there to arrest a man who's working, who has a family, has a home, and is merely owning a firearm for his self-defense. And this is what makes the ATF an evil organization. We must push our U.S. congressmen and U.S. senators to ensure to amend the USCA Title 18, Chapter 44 code to specify in that code that after 5 years, convicted felons may own firearms under federal law. We need to put this in the code, specifically stating this to keep these murderous ATF agents from destroying ex-felons' lives who are living honest lives, and that are only owning firearms for self-defense. And you use your imagination. What would you like to do to the ATF for murdering Randy Weaver's wife and child? What would you like to do to these filthy maggots that sit behind the scenes in their power-hungry socialist power grab? What would you like to do to these filthy maggots for the murder of those women and children in Waco? Well, it's pissed off a whole lot of citizens. You're not alone.